rise above it all. Meet all my challenges and search for my strength. I defeat them all. I'm never ever gonna hide no more. I come to love myself again. Yeah. For all the things I didn't know, the pain, the hurt, I let it go. Start to believe in myself and life will be sweet again. So sweet again. Oh na 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 na. When all I see is darkness and gloom, yeah, I'll be running from my doom. Oh na 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 na. But now it's time to live my life, but now I know what I need to do. Can't stand right when it's blowing, pushing me down. Feels like I'm falling apart, yet I hold on. Head held high, can't fight this feeling off no more. But I'm not going to give up and fall. Rise above it all. Meet all my challenges and search for my strength. I defeat them all. I never ever gonna hide no more. I come to love myself again, again. For all the things I didn't know, the pain, the hurt, I let it go. Let it go. And I start to believe in myself, and life will be sweet again. Oh na na, oh na 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 na. When all I see is darkness and gloom, yeah, I'll be running from my doom. Oh na 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 na. But now it's time to live my life, but now I know what I need to do. Oh na 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 na. When all I see is darkness and gloom, yeah, I'll be running from my doom. Oh na 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 na. But now it's time to live my life, but now I know what I need to do.
Good morning, all. Good morning. I can't get the chat on. Let me see. I'm gonna try again using Restream right now. What a fun way to start the show. Open in browser. It used to work. Hooray! Chat is waiting for messages. Hola. Wait, I know this guy. There's Merdmoff. There's Zook. Okay, great. It's working. It's working. Fantastic. Great. Great. TV's off. I'm back in business. It is a gray day. Is audio okay, gents? I suspect it is. I probably should have checked. My laptop's been out of state. Chat went they. Okay. Let's see here. Sound preferences. I bet you the sound's good. We're about to get started here. Just a second, guys. Just a second. You know, it doesn't show me the... There we go. That looks pretty good. I'd say that's about adequate. Audio is great. Thanks. There's macaroni pictures in the house. Wow. Love that. I've been like, for weeks, I've been like, I can't wait to write macaroni pictures. Like, it's like I'm driving, I'm just like, yeah, I'm gonna say this, and then I'm gonna say this. But it's always, I haven't been like in front of a keyboard when that's happening. But yeah, you know, we've been thinking about retooling the show, and when one night Brent and I were watching the fire, and we were talking, how great would it be if if there was like this really super talented person that was like way into video editing that like totally resonated with our message, but like had their own too, and was like just right the heck on, and was like interested in taking some of our content and maybe using just part of it, like, I don't know, the voiceover or something. Brent's like, yeah, like the voiceover. And then as we were saying that, somewhere, I believe, in the land formerly known as Great Britain, sat just that person casting with their own fingers on their own keyboard, doing their own things. And that was the wonderfully talented Macaroni Pictures. And that stuff keeps happening because we are in the world of sync. We are in the world of sync, guys. That's right, sync. In fact, hey, where is that? There it is. 199 is still there. Yeah. Oh, look at that guy. Whoa, James getting serious right away. And we are in the world of sync, and things like that keep happening. In fact, when I was sent this picture, an apocalypse picture, apparently this was a stray dog, and Michael Christopher rescued her, and she was pregnant, and he watched this brand new dog give birth to not 4, but 5 puppies. And when he sent me this, I wasn't sure if it was 4 or 5. I was like asking, is that 4 or 5? This is coming to go. Watch this. And he corrected me, and he told me, yes, it is 5. And 5 is this. Look at this, guys. Tier 4, the age of Jupiter. Tier 5, the age of Saturn. 5 is the Venus. 5 is the Lucifer. 5 is Owen Benjamin freaking the fuck out because people are now sovereign. 5 is the intrinsic fear about all people finding their own inner flame and illuminating themselves. It is the fear of the Illuminati. It is the fear of all things Earth. It is the fear of the Vitruvian man. It is the demonization of the Saturn cult stuff. Just the massive monster fear amalgamated across the board, whether it be Zionism, whether it be it's even in astrology. It's even in anyway. The point is that we are afraid to stand, and the sink that we see all around us. I'm not talking the kitchen sink, although that does sink up too, because it's got the drain, it's a Taurus, you've got incoming, you've got outgoing. It's all sinks. This sinking thing, this thing that keeps happening, right? This thing that keeps happening makes so many of us uncomfortable that we don't want to see the sink. We call that scaffolding here, right? We don't want to see the sink of that. It makes us so nervous that the zeitgeist of us, the spoken hive of us, and all of us participate in that hive. This is why I do what I do. I'm poking the hive constantly. I'm poking the beast, going, you could be better. It's okay. You can love yourself. And the beast is like, no, I am the spirit of emptiness. I will evacuate every one of you. And I sound like James Stewart. Because that's how tempting I am as the Leviathan as well. Well, I'll tell you, if you just don't give yourself up now, the vaccine is just going to work. That's how sinister it is. And the sink, the scaffolding that we see, no matter where you look, it freaks most of us out, which is why we end up shutting down our endocannabinoid system. It's why we have felony convictions against the use of cannabis. It's why we created Puritanism, and it's why we created the witch hunt, and it's still here. The recession ushered in by the novel coronavirus has not meant economic catastrophe for everyone. In fact, in the months since the virus reached the United States, many of the nation's wealthiest citizens have actually profited handsomely. Over a roughly 7-month period starting in mid-March, a week after President Donald Trump declared a national emergency, America's 614 billionaires grew their net worth by a collective $931 billion. Exodus 22:18. Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live. Some of you might be wondering, well, what is that? You're going to see. You're going to see. Some of you already see. Okay, all of you already see. Some of you see more. Some of you suddenly see more. Suddenly see more sinking. You're gonna see, if you do, you already do see. I'm just throwing words out at this point. The music doesn't help, says Hugh. What does the music not help? Let's see. Is there a problem with that? Do you guys not like it when I read over like that? Because I want to read over because people listen to podcasts, and so I want them to be able to hear what I'm saying. Now I'm just gonna ignore that. Hang the elephant. Hey, Gander. Good to see you, buddy. Good to see you. That's how you do it. Guys, the sink is cray-cray. Cray-cray. Not just up in here, but everywhere. Everywhere around us. I'm telling you, it's cray-cray. It's cray-cray. And that's what I want to talk about today. In fact, I think that this dude, Matthew Hopkins, the celebrated Witchfinder of 16th century England, made his fame during the First Civil War. During the first upheaval, was able to capitalize on the plasmatic freakishness, the freak-outedness of people, and to step in and declare himself Witchfinder General, the finder of witches. And he made a career dressing in black and white, staunch black and white, and feeding on the outcasts of society and creating a eugenics program built around the idea of public safety. And it got so easy for him that if he could find an old woman in a cap who had a wart, who had a dog, and who called that dog by a name, that was all it took for him to declare a viral contagion existed inside this town. Smooth talking, Hank. Thank you for the super chat. Glad you're back, sir. Hope everyone had a great holiday. We sure are. So are you. Thank you so much for that. Appreciate it. It's great to be back, guys. Things have been busy around here. Been busy. They've been busy. They still are. But I really was looking forward to doing a show. This is all it took. And I'm going to show you that testing for witches and testing for corona are the same freaking thing. The same thing. Right? Exact same thing. I'm telling you. So, Anthony Hopkins was given his first commission in one county to rid itself of witches. They already found what they thought was one witch. Basically, it was a one-legged woman that was bitchy. And they decided that she was the source of all their problems. And because she did not have enough... Thank you, Fepe. Because she did not have enough social skills, she was considered the viral contagion. And Matthew Hopkins was utilizing her as an enema for the town. That everyone could cast their evil into her, her electrical evil into her, and blame her. She was the scapegoat, a term invented by you-know-who. Oh, you could talk about scapegoat, by the way, because it's really fascinating how this works. These are electrical exhaust pipes that you're seeing built into all of the world. All of it. Hello, Emily P. This exhaust, in fact, I would like for you not to judge this. I would like for you to look at this entire show as an electrical autopsy. Now, Matthew Hopkins got his first commission from one county, and he was able, with that one county, with this one woman, turn himself into a business. He was getting sometimes upwards of like 20 pounds for every visit to a town, which was extremely wealthy back in that day. This guy called himself the Witchfinder General. He gave himself that title. He created the problem, and he created the solution. And he did not work alone. He worked with the municipalities. In fact, it was not Matthew that was the one that was going in pointing out the witches. He said, I am a witch finder. We're in town. We will gladly come and offer our services to you should you need it. Do you have any problems? And those people were like, well, yeah. Witch, huh? You know, that dude that doesn't want to take the vaccine down the street, that dude's pretty freaking annoying. And you see the situation unfold. In fact, that same situation's been repeated and repeated and repeated over and over and over again. And Matthew Hopkins had charisma, he had clout, and he was invigorated by the state. The state. Yes, the state. That King James himself, of course, if you guys have watched my work, you know I've written about this. It's been in many live streams. But King James himself, before he wrote the Bible, or before he edited the Bible, I should say, his first book was an epistemological treatise on the persecution of witchcraft. How to persecute witchcraft from the rational standpoint. King James, believe it or not, was the rational scientist in this. He was the one that came in and said, now all of you guys are superstitious. I'm science. I'm science, is what he said. And he wrote the treatise on how to convict, how to test, and how to persecute the witch. And testing came from one central authority, a centralized place, King James. And that testing is just as valid as Corona COVID-19 testing, which you'll see. It's all the exact same thing. In fact, so many of our expressions, like you have a lot of gall and will this sink or swim? Both those expressions, sink or swim, and you have a lot of gall, go back to the very first Witchfinder, Matthew Hopkins. Did you guys know this? It's true. That one of the first methods of witch testing, was called swimming. And you would tie the thumb to the toe of the witch, and you would drag her across the water. If she floated, she was positive for positive for witchcraft. And if she sank, she was negative. And that was the criteria implemented by the state. Not only by the state, by the most rational epistemological king that had ever existed. Ever. And this was King James, it is factual. Now, she turned me into a newt. I got better. That could have been an exaggeration, but you could easily see how that would fit. And that is the same testing that we have now for COVID-19. You good, guys? Buffering sounds great. Sounds good. Do you chat with? Okay, great. Great. Over a 100-year period, we developed and elaborated on a better test for germ theory, and it's as above, so below. That germ theory, you're buffering right now, happened 1 minute ago. Okay, if I'm buffering, guys, right now, we are in vacation town, and my town is packed right now. I could barely pull water out of my faucet right now. So, sorry about that. I could stop the show, though. If I could even do a recording and upload it if you'd rather. Let me know if it's a problem, because I don't want to do the show if it's a problem. Seriously, it's okay. He's back. You look up if Fauci is a goblin, not a demon. Okay, cool. It's saying back. If you lose me, it's okay. It's okay. Good on D-Lab? Okay. Did you no, I didn't spill water, Bren. How dare you? That would be a good witch test, wouldn't it? Wouldn't that be a good witch test? No. My computer's good. But my vacation town is full of people right now. So my apologies for that. Fauci is the modern day Matthew Hopkins. Matthew Hopkins was given his authority through the book Demonology and through the local county. He was able to take that fear from one county and broadcast it into 9 other counties. And he was able to operate outside of his own jurisdiction with no legal penalty against him. The state allowed Matthew Hopkins to operate exactly like the state allows the CDC to run now. The CDC is a private corporation. It owns patents on vaccines. The CDC has declared immunity from vaccines. The CDC has declared that it needs its own court for any kind of liability. Okay? This is exactly how Matthew Hopkins was operating. He had zero jurisdiction. He was able to thrive on the belief from the town. Anthony Stephen Fauci has been an advisor to every single U.S. president since Ronald Reagan. Not only that, he will become the chief medical advisor to President Biden. And that in a world of politics where we will filibuster over veterans benefits, we will filibuster over literally any subject, any point, anywhere, anytime. For whatever reason, for the last 50 years, we have all insisted that this is the only guy capable of running the show. It's the only one. And this guy has 30 honorary doctorate degrees. Do you understand that 30 of the most prestigious institutions, without testing him, without putting him through their own vigorous curriculum, without applying an interview, without even a single essay, have deemed him an honorary doctorate? And that Fauci, and someone's going to disagree, please go in the chat and disagree, I don't care. Fauci got his start on this stage as a 9/11 bioterrorist. Now, some will argue that it was before that. I don't care. I'm saying this is where he got his start. He entered the national stage as a bioterrorist expert in 9/11. And he has not left the side of every president since. Not once in all these warring administrations has anyone ever disagreed on Fauci. And I would say to you that there's not been one professional wrestling match ever where the wrestlers have called to question the sanctity of the referee. And the reason why that's the case is because it's all a show. That it's all theater. And that just like Hopkins, Fauci runs on public belief. He runs on a village's fear of the witch. You see how this works? He runs on the fear of the witch. And at no point does Fauci point the finger. He asks for the villagers to name their witch. And when you look at the Olympics and you see that witching ceremony, I'm telling you, the scaffolding of this world is built around belief and around witchcraft. And I don't mean specifically witchcraft, but if you think about the true power of belief, of animism, of personificanimization, we're going to vocabulate today. Personificanimization is the secret to magic, because it is the blessing of yeast, the blessing of will, the blessing of red blood cells. It is the imbuement of will into an object, which is what we do anyway. I imbue my will into this when I laugh at Nate Hinksman's post. I imbue my anger when I find out that our own Gaia hypothesis is in jail for 7 days. That all.
Who would you like to call?
I don't want to call anybody. That all of us. Oh, she's going to answer that, isn't she? Oh, God. Sorry. I need to figure out a way to turn that off. Isn't that creepy? Isn't that creepy? This whole place runs on belief, and all of us are getting lost in the props. We think it's the props and the furniture that holds the magic. That's technology. Our belief in technology is belief in the wand, not in the caster. All of our socio-political religious philosophies geld us. All of our medical laws bar us from utilizing our own intrinsic health. The most powerful force at work today is the placebo effect. Society hides your body's true power inside that soft plastic word placebo. That's all it takes. Because your belief, your inflammation, your lack of belief, your suffocation is the entire scaffolding of how this world works. Right as I said that, an icicle fell. And that is the significance of Fauci and Hopkins. That they both were risen from this notion. And that immunology is the most vague, darkest, blackest magic there is, with the exception of probably deep space quantum astronomy, where you're getting into people that are claiming that they saw a black hole, which is a region, not a thing. It's a region, but it doesn't matter, because we have the power of belief behind it. Look, he played a significant role in the early 2000s as President's emergency plan for AIDS relief. Of course, he had huge showing in the AIDS community, definitely. But his step on the main stage was as a 9/11 terrorist attack, biodefense, drug, and vaccines. Driving development of biodefense drugs and vaccines. And not one politician ever said, hey, I should return a favor by appointing somebody. That none of them said that because the public health was too concerning. And now you have this campaign. Did you know we're calling him the sexiest man alive? That scientism is the belief in science, and Fauci is a saint. Immunoregulation, guys. The laboratory of immunoregulation. He's regulating, God, I can't believe I have to spell this out. He's regulating your immune system. He's regulating it. He's not protecting it. He's not studying it. He's regulating it. And what is Hopkins doing? What kind of coat is Hopkins wearing? And what kind of coat is Fauci wearing? And who deemed Fauci his authority is the same person that deemed Hopkins his. Every president coddles this man's balls. Notice how Fauci responds to a serious scientific question. The first thing I want to ask you, says Vanity Fair, first of all, he gives an interview to Vanity Fair. The first thing I want to ask you is this theory spreading around the internet that I've heard a lot lately and is unfortunately pretty durable in the UK right now, that 5G towers are weakening the immune system and forcing people to get COVID-19. As an immunologist, can you say definitively that 5G is not getting people sick? Listen to the Witchfinder answer. Yeah, that's easy. That's thoroughly preposterous, untrue, and actually ridiculous. Laughs. Sorry, it's a pretty simple answer. 5G doesn't have any impact on the immune system. A lot of things do, but not that. This is how you respond to heresy. This is not how you respond to science. This is how you respond to heresy. And this is the exact same response Hopkins gave his only critic, a man named Lowe, who suggested that anyone who might doubt the existence of witches is at worst in league with the devil and at best a complete fool. And that ad hominem, you guys know that ad hominem doesn't just count against the person making the argument. If you were to make fun of the argument itself, that is also ad hominem. That Fauci, who could easily cite one of the studies that doesn't exist, by the way, that showcases that 5G is completely safe for the immune system because it doesn't exist, because 5G, the bandwidth itself, was picked by Raytheon, a weapons manufacturing company employed by the United States to provide 5G across the nation. I wanted to point this out because not only does Vanity Fair allow him one question, give him one question, who Vanity Fair even says, unfortunately, says Vanity Fair, people are concerned that 5G might be affecting our immunity system. But that they followed up with, when you were a good Catholic boy, you went to Holy Cross, did you ever think you'd be a popular candidate for sexiest man alive? And Fauci, the sexiest answer you can come up with, well, no, absolutely not. But as I often say, when they show this to me at my age, I say, where were you when I was 30? And laughs the exact same way he laughs about the question. The dude who's in charge of regulating your immunology thinks it's just as funny that we would ask about 5G as if we were to ask how he feels about being the sexiest man alive. Fauci runs on charisma. He runs on belief. And he's been employed by every single president since Reagan. Guys, it doesn't just stop there. That from demonology before that, there was this book, The Hammer of Witches, Malleus Maleficarum, which showcased exactly how to find and persecute these germs, what testing counted as proof of germs. As long as it's printed enough, people believe it, because that's all that's required. That COVID testing was as simple as dunking a witch in water. The accused floated, they were deemed guilty. If they sunk, they were innocent, right? Sink or swim. Sink or swim. Sink or swim. That's how you determine a witch. And these same tests today are no better. They're no better. This bird has COVID-19. Okay, it's not this bird, but this bird's hilarious, and I had to use a picture, and I really wanted to use this bird. This bird's fine. This bird's name's Ray. He's got 2 kids. Recovering Democrat. He's been reallocating his time, planted a home garden, raising his own worms now. Has a worm farm. Very successful, hence the mustache. A bird tested positive for COVID. Apple juice has tested positive for COVID. Kiwi, Coca-Cola, papaya, durian, blank test, apple juice have all tested positive for COVID. And these tests, wait a minute, it's supposed to be, there's guilty. Sorry guys, I think I'm going to come back to that one. Sorry. Yes, this will work. How do I go back to this James thing? Okay, I'm going to come back to those two. You'll see. Cranberry juice, cherry, all these things tested positive. Guys, alcoholic disinfectant has tested positive for COVID-19. Coca-Cola has tested positive for COVID-19. Now, see if this is in here. Sorry, guys. I meant to put this one. Okay, so there it is. Now, here's my point, which I've kind of screwed up because I wasn't able to get this easier. The Cutter incident. One of the first the first polio vaccine unleashed by the government. Think about Matthew Hopkins as a polio vaccine. He was unleashed by the government. The Cutter incident gave 40,000 people polio. They distributed 120,000 doses of polio inside a vaccine. They were giving people polio. And they called this an accident. But it wasn't an accident. It wasn't an accident. Because any responsible government that wants to have authority over its people is going to find a way to manage the population. And the only way you're going to be able to manage that population is through installing some form of outside trust that needs to be injected into each person. That you need a vaccine such as Matthew Hopkins to pierce through the epidermis of the town, and that will only occur if the person, the town itself, believes that it is sick. And you can install a feeling of sickness through propaganda. It's no problem. And the Cutter incident is one of many where the government has stepped in and taken over the management of your immune system. And if they can manage your immune system, they can stop terrorism. They can stop. I know they create terrorism, but still, they can stop terrorism. Matthew Hopkins can create witchcraft, but he can also stop it. And he's the only one who can, just like the government is the only one that can stop it too. And they can do all these things. They can control global warming, but James, they created, I know. They could control how dirty we are, but James, they're the ones that said we're dirty. I know. They could control how many germs but James, that's not even, I know. That's how it works. Because every bit of this is witchcraft. And the Witchcraft Act, which declared witchcraft a felony, passed by a woman, by the way. What it truly meant was, witchcraft is a weapon of the state. You can't use witchcraft. We can use witchcraft. And even today, as we're trying to backwardsly explain why all these COVID tests could be somehow corrupted and why purified water with no organic compounds in it at all tests positive for COVID-19, that we will do exactly what Fauci did to the Vanity Fair piece and claim, well, it's likely that it was contaminated, says the CDC, that all these tests that are coming up false positive for papaya, we're sure those are just contaminated tests. They just happen to be spread across all over the world. You know, like the Cutter incident. Come on, guys. Shit happens, right? So we gave 40,000 people polio when only 19,350 had polio at the time. Come on. We're the government. We know what we're doing. You've got a witch in you. You've got a witch in you. Right? The review conducted by 2 Department of Health and Human Services lawyers also said there was time pressure at the CDC to launch testing and the lab practices that may have been insufficient to prevent the risk of contamination. That it's because of how fast they were trying to go that the lab had contamination. The stupid excuse. Stupid. Guys, did you know if you go to any professional chef anywhere, that if you're in a hurry, they're not going to poison you? Doesn't work that way. They'll either make your ass wait until it's ready, or they'll offer something different that isn't going to take that long to cook, or they'll tell you to get out and find another restaurant because we're not going to poison people. But through the Cutter incident, through the swine flu epidemic, through even today on our own testing, the only part that would even determine a witch, we're claiming, yes, we're making mistakes because it's so dire. It's so important, we don't need accuracy. And that neither the review, released late Friday, nor an accompanying statement from President Trump's chief spokesman at HHS assigned blame to any CDC scientist or office by name. That it's likely a contamination occurred, but we don't know who did it, or even if it happened, or where it happened, or how, or why. But the only thing that truly makes sense is that the reason why all these things would pass for COVID, like cherry jam, like purified water, like papaya, like durian, like alcohol-based disinfectant wipes, is not because COVID itself was bullshit. It's not because witchcraft itself is not what we think it is. It's because the test was contaminated. Coca-Cola. This bird. And what you're looking at is not science. Of course you know that. But what you're looking at is pure, raw fear amalgamated into petrified belief. We believe in Hopkins. We believe in Fauci. We believe in these because when you are in fear, your body requires a very, very simple solution. That when you are in fear, you do not have the calories to analyze complex information. It's simply too much. It's about the most sciencey thing that we've done since special relativity, I would say, Marty Leeds. That what you're looking at right now is truly been about the most pinnacle thing we've done in science since special relativity. That pretty much since that time on, government took over science, and it's not even fair to call it government. This undulating beast that we can't see because we're too afraid to embrace animism. This undulating beast that's rising up and out of the ground, that leaves a wake of concrete wherever it rises out of the land. Think about it, concrete. It's petrifying the soil, like Medusa. That it's undulating in and out of the pure raw grove of nature itself, right? And it comes up as a dollar store. And it goes back down as a mini storage. So people go into the dollar store and they buy all their shit. Then they take it across the street to the mini storage and they put it in that mini storage. Then the mini storage, they stop paying rent on it. Then they sell those mini storage lots and they have TV shows about that. And the entire process continues again. It's an undulating sine wave of a leviathan that's reaching and breaching the ground and petrifying the soil wherever it lands. And it's such a huge creature, it's so in our face that we can't even admit it's real, that we call it society. We call it civilization. We call it civilized. To be petrified by Medusa is to be civilized. And the mind control's gotten so deep that we are wearing pants. Yes, the fashion is mind control, and that we're all wearing pants for the same reasons. Now, this guy is not going to go away as long as germ theory exists. This guy is not going to go away as long as the belief in witchcraft exists. And what's fascinating is how this undulation, just like this animism, creeps itself up. That 100 years later, after Matthew Hopkins went away, the exact same thing popped up in Salem, in the United States. And that it came from a town that had strife. It came from a town of dissonance. And that dissonance, they didn't like each other. There was a preacher. He wasn't getting enough salary. They were arguing over which church to go to. And it came down to a 9-year-old girl deciding, what can I get an entire village to believe? And the answer is whatever you want that allows us to pick a scapegoat. 2 goats. A scapegoat has 2 goats. And they don't tell you this, but both goats are killed. So it's not even like you escape. It's just the other goat, they say, yay, before they kill it. And the scapegoat is the one that they make walk out of the village. And the person leads him out of the village. And he's like, he pushes him off a cliff. He's like, fuck you, goat. And then he comes back and the town's like, now we're holy again. And that is the germ theory. Is the idea that we can cleanse this entire village by walking a goat out of our village, spitting on it, calling it bad names, and throwing it off a cliff. That's what makes us good. That we become good people. Guys, I'm not making that up. That's truly how the word scapegoat comes about. They still do that today, but you're not going to find media that's like reporting on that, because that would be considered insensitive. Not the act, reporting on the act. That without a scapegoat, we have no exhaust. And you, as above, so below, so too does your ego work the same way. Your victimhood is witchcraft. You're using voodoo inside yourself to find that problem, isolate it, and expunge it. And if that problem's outside of yourself, even better. Even better. And we look for these ways to have this kind of exhaust. It is horrible, Miss Space Cake. And that's what they do. And it's all out in daylight. It's in broad daylight. It's one of the most important rituals of the year, the choosing of the scapegoat. There's Gaia, my hypothesis. The choosing of the scapegoat is just as important as the choosing of the witch, which is just as important as the finding of the virus. The finding of the witch. And through this whole thing, 7 months, all it took was $1 trillion. And because all of us are witchcraft by fake money, $1 trillion is possible. And right now, Everything's obliterated. What we used to think of as the world is truly gone. And it's actually not bad. Because really what blew apart was illusion. Guys, truthfully, what you saw fall apart was illusion. And that we've been in this fight since World War II, World War I. We've been in this fight since the fucking scapegoat. We got in this fight since a Matthew Hopkins was able to come to our Kabbalistic village and go, hey, Lord told me, if we pick a goat, all of us are going to be fine. What do you, yeah, we just got to pick a goat. Well, what are we going to do with a goat? I'm going to walk it out of town. And then what? I'm going to push it off a cliff. And that's all it takes? Yeah, that's all it takes. When you're scared, the simple solution becomes the one we pick. And on Christmas Day, what happened? A bomb blew up in Nashville, driven in an RV. And playing out of the RV as that bomb rushed downtown was a loudspeaker robo-recording saying, evacuate, evacuate, there's a bomb in the RV, there's a bomb in the RV. And that RV exploded right in front of the AT&T Node Center. And they are explaining to you that witchcraft is hexing our internet. And it happened on Christmas Day to dilate you. It happened on Christmas Day by a government that does not want to terrorize you for the sake of evil, that only wants to put up fences to provide you the service that you dictate is required by them. That the more we insist on universal health care, the more we insist on eugenics. And the more we insist on eugenics, the more we are demanding the witchcraft required to sell it to us. And that 100,000% of this is all sovereign to you, to us. And that Fauci sleeps at night as comfortably as you do because he believes in the witch. This is our vitriol, and it's collective vitriol. And this collective vitriol is more vitriolic than your personal vitriol, because you can't even control it all. You can't just end it. That you cannot go out and wake people up, wake everyone up. That all you can do is do what I do, which is simply make it expensive to believe in something that you don't believe in, and make it economical to believe in something that you do. That's truly all you could do. And that's more than enough. It's more than enough. Because that's how tides work, that's how waves work, that's how flowers bloom. I'm telling you, these feelings won't go away. Really good song. They've been knocking me sideways. God, that's a good song. Anyway. You know what, Kander? I think that elephant happened in town here. I'm not even going to tell people about that. Yeah, they once called an elephant a witch. They hung an elephant. It was in Irwin, Tennessee. Of course, they've electrocuted. We've done a lot of bad things to elements. Elephants are... They get vitriol from us, too. They do. Allison Downey, my hubby, just tested positive. Allison, please tell your husband that 80% of all tests in Italy, when this thing first broke out, 80% were later changed as false positive. 4 out of every 5 tests are coming in as false positive. And if you believe that you have COVID, you're going to have COVID. Now, guys, here's where the sink really fucking hits home. The penalty for being a witch was the exact same penalty as having COVID-19. Most of the witches were hung, but not breaking the neck hung, with strangulation. That they weren't dropped off a platform. They were kicked, a chair or a bench was kicked from underneath them, and that they slowly strangulated. Guys, when you were guilty of being a witch, society strangulated you. And when you were positive for COVID, society puts a government respirator on you and strangulates you. Please tell me that you understand. Please tell me you see that. That even though this is very uncomfortable, that you are looking at the exact same witch and the exact same fear, and that the fear of witchcraft in Hopkins, in Salem, in the Inquisitions, in the Reformations is the exact same rippled fear that we have right now. And that the sink that you see in your life, right? The sink that we see in puppies, or my hat, the sink we see in puppies, the sink we see in 4 to 5, the sink we see in Jupiter to Saturn, is the exact same sink we see in the vitriol that we have not learned from. That vitriol comes right back around again. And that there's nothing more than witches that could get you closer in this realm into understanding the technology and power of belief. And that it is festering and running inside you right now, and you can fear it, you can run from it, you can vaccinate yourself from it, or you can turn the fuck around and accept all of that power, all of that torque that comes from the motor from your belief. Your belief has all that torque. It has so much torque that it can be used with others to communally asphyxiate living human sovereign beings. And all it took was fear. And all it took was a test that comes back positive for fucking water, for papaya, for durian, for goats, for birds, for Coca-Cola, for cherry jam. And you better hope to fuck that the person administering your COVID-19 test did not have cherry jam that day, because everyone's in such a hurry that it's sure that I'm guessing that some of these tests must have been corruptible. That's the shit you're going to get. It's going to be no different than when one of Hopkins' victims never confessed. And instead of them claiming that she must be innocent, they said, well, clearly the devil had her too strongly. And that there is zero difference between these. That Hopkins and Fauci were both appointed and both pedestalized by the society around them. Fauci was Hopkins was a household name. 400 square miles. He was able to round up people. At one point, he had 120 people in a barn waiting to be hung as witches. And it took that much vitriol, it took that much death for people to finally catch on and go, what the fuck is going on? And the only reason why it caught on was because how expensive it was. That every witch you hung was £1 for the person to set up the stockade. A couple dozen shillings, for the people watching. Hopkins himself sometimes would get as much as £23 for every single conviction. Hopkins did not get paid. Here's more sink. Hopkins did not get paid for a negative conviction, for not having a conviction. Hospitals are not paid for a negative test. Hospitals, like Hopkins, are paid $30,000 for every patient that has COVID. It would be irresponsible for you to work at a hospital as a coder. Coder's the person in the hospital that actually writes down what things cost. that you as a coder in a hospital would be a dereliction of duty, that you would be failing your family and your hospital by not calling for a COVID-19 test. And that it would be outside of your jurisdiction to say, yeah, but 4 out of 5 of these tests are false positive. Therefore, I'm going to withhold the money from my own hospital. That not only would no one do that, but that would not be within the realm of their contract with that hospital. That there's a loyalty that comes automatically from anyone who's being fed by another. Guys, there's no difference. There's no difference. And you are watching the undulation of the Leviathan that we reject when it comes to swallowing the truth about how powerful our belief can be. And we are so afraid of its destructive power that we're missing the constructive power of it all. And we're so afraid of its destructive power that we are bringing upon that destruction on ourselves. All so we could pretend, all so we could insist that the witch is real, that the witch is them, that the witch is the germ. And the sink doesn't stop there, because Hopkins died of tuberculosis, and tuberculosis was the disease that began our entry into germ theory. That Koch's postulates, the very, very first method used to analyze germs, was built for tuberculosis. That exact same witchcraft hunting scheme, which no one in Parliament stopped, that was allowed to run. I think Parliament was looking at that going, let's see how effective this is as a eugenics program. Because any one of them would have benefited from putting an end to this. That instead of putting an end to this, we found a way to capitalize on it. That we, meaning society at large, found a way to syndicate it. And the syndication of germs has simply been the wardrobe change of witchcraft, of hunting witches from Act 1 to Act 2. And we are so lost in the salacious fear of that image of the witch, and Hollywood doesn't help, that we'll never see the truth when it's staring us right in the face. Why would we when we can pretend that witches were long ago? And now science comes from rational thought, which is exactly, verbatim, tooth and nail, what King James said in demonology. That book is not a book about let's kill some fucking witches. That book ends with let's kill witches, but that book tells you how moral, how ethical, how important, the efficacy, the safety of it, how effective it is to do it correctly. Not once in that book did it question whether or not it was real. In fact, the only time it did, there were 2 characters in that book, Demonology, was in an ad hominem attack, the exact same thing that Vanity Fair set up for Fauci when they asked him, hey, people are concerned that 5G could be affecting your immunity. He too called that preposterous. And to thank him for that, we call him a saint. We praise him. We don him in the robes of honorary credentials, and we worship him as the sexiest man alive. This is how the Leviathan, the living psychic creature of all of our evacuation that's able to amalgamate into a living beast that we're afraid to admit, this is how the beast shows itself. And it's always a direct reflection of what we refuse to see. It's fascinating. And that's why we keep looking at the same scaffolding. It's why the same things keep repeating over and over again. Let's call it a day. Let's call it a day. Guys, we got a dojo today. I'm looking forward to it. The wonderful Lauren Hartley's moderating. Please join us if you can. After the end of the year, no more dojo for $99 a year. Really good time to go ahead and join if you want. Do it before the end of the year because everything's going to change after that. So do that. $99 all year. Probably the most inexpensive gym / electrical gym membership you could ever find. It really, really does some good stuff. Helps you to see this stuff. Helps you to find your power. All good stuff. Great for belief too. Great for belief. If you're not in a dojo, check out my book, Technology of Belief. We go over this stuff. Speaking of going over this stuff, I was out of town, and seriously, the bathroom, all the work. It was just. I'm sorry. I've missed some doors. Today, I'm going to be giving out candy, but I'm going to ask you to buy a book, please. Buy Best Apocalypse Ever today during this live stream, and you get some candy. We have, look, this is a little cupcake with my name on it. Look at that. That's awesome. Look, someone gets this one. That was 24 Christmas Eve. Sorry, I missed that. I was in Atlanta, by the way. And then with my parents, which was awesome. And then here's, it's a screech owl. Actually, that looks like a red eastern screech owl, but she's in Scotland. And I think that these guys are actually called something different. That they're not quite screech owls, but they're like of the same genus or something. Anyway, another piece of candy there. And let's see, 8, very good. 8, 23, I think that's it. Yeah. So we have two candies. No, we have 3. Oh yeah, don't forget number 23. Behind door number 23, it's Prometheus inside of his, look at that. Prometheus in the moonlight, yeah. So we have 3 pieces of candy. Ooh, piece of candy. We have 3 pieces of candy here. And so yeah, if you buy a book today, I'll send these out to you. Really love to send some love to Gaia. We miss you. She's been playing harmonica in Facebook jail. She got a week, guys. She got a week. They threw her back in the hole. But we miss you. And looking forward to you getting out. I don't know when you're getting out. It's probably another couple days, I guess. But we can't wait to see you there. All right, guys, have a beautiful day. We'll see you in dojo. It will start here very shortly. I wish you could do all that at my house, James. Brent, I do not want to do work for a while. Actually, I still have work to do, but it's not so bad. If you have the time off, working on the house is fun. It's when you're trying to accomplish other things, that's what makes it hard. You guys probably tawny owl. Thank you, Mared Moth. Thank you. It's a tawny owl, exactly. It looks just like an eastern screech owl here, red eastern screech owl. In fact, anyway, we've already gone over that. All right, guys. Tomorrow, Guy is out tomorrow. That's wonderful. I received little Jamie goodies right before Christmas. It was great. Right on. Glad to hear it. Level 99 dust. Free Gaia. That's right. All right, guys. Have a wonderful day. Let's do some horse riding, and we'll see you soon. I owe Joe Mega so many push-ups. Holy crap. And I think about it all the time. I don't do them, but I think about it all the time. I got in late last night from Atlanta. I could have been doing them in Atlanta. I'm making nothing but excuses. I'm totally making this. All I'm doing is victimizing myself by telling you how I couldn't have done them because of how hard life has been, because I'm celebrating Christmas with my family. You see, even I, after giving you an hour-long speech after prepping for a day about witches, even I will claim that the witch is real. It's how hard it is, guys. You gotta stock this stuff. You gotta stock it. All right, guys. Love you much. Thanks for being here. And join dojo. Come on, dojo. Oh, if you join dojo, same rule applies. Chocolate, whoever, book or dojo, whichever. Book or dojo. If you don't know the link, I know Joe Mega's pasted in here a few times, so just scroll up in the chat. You'll see it. You'll definitely see it if you're watching this video later. But you better hurry, because all these people in the live stream could be buying that. In fact, before I say goodbye, has anyone taken me up on that? Yes. Roseanne has one piece of candy. Ooh, piece of candy. Ooh, piece of candy. Rose, there's only 2 more pieces of candy left, guys. So you better do it. You better do it. All right. Take care. Oh, there's no grievances. I know. We'll have to do a whole episode dedicated to grievances. How about that? All right. Thanks. Thanks, OKC. Good to see you, buddy. Glad you're here. And all right. James out.